What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast. This is our pay-per-view, Rite of Passage, for our fantasy booking episode. And this is just a continuation of Reckoning from Tuesday. And I'm your host, Jacob. And over the past few weeks, we've been building here. We have the Vanguard Championship on the line. We have our Tag Team Championships on the line. And in the main event, we have the World Title on the line. So we get some video packages here of some of the events leading up to the pay-per-view. We see things like Seth Rollins and Damian Priest butting heads, and Seth even leaving Damian to take a fall in their tag team match that they had. We see clips of the Hardys fighting the NWO, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, and also Adam Copeland and Macho Man taking on the NWO. Will the NWO be able to stand tall tonight and become the number one contenders for the tag team titles? Or will the New World Order be something of the past? Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Orton, he's been fuming since he lost in the triple threat steel cage match for the world title. And he's just taking out all of his aggression on the Scottish Warrior. He's been cold and calculated. And even attacked Drew McIntyre's wife as Drew and her were entering the arena for an episode of Reckoning. Will the Viper be able to sink his teeth into the Scottish Warrior one more time and end things with the RKO? Now, Rob Van Dam, RVD, he's taking on the Phenom, the Undertaker, the leader of the House of Darkness, with Aleister Black and Brody King. RVD, he's let his emotions boil over the past few weeks, and he's ended up poking the hornet's nest. And now the dead man is answering. Will his frog splash be enough to keep the dead man at bay? And our tag team titles, Penta and Rey Mysterio, are defending against the House of Darkness, Aleister Black and Brody King. Will the Luchadors be able to see through the shadows and retain the gold? And like I mentioned, our main event, Hollywood Hogan defending against Kevin Owens. The NWO has been rampant, just destroying the roster, cheating, sneak attacks, dishing it out left and right. But will the Immortal One be able to put down the prize fighter? All of this, all of your answers will be given to you tonight at Rite of Passage. Welcome to Rite of Passage. Fireworks are sounding off of the entrance stage. In the entrance stage, it's decorated like a Gothic cathedral. Stained glass and stone kind of looking architecture, gargoyles as well. The capacity crowd, they're thunderous with excitement. Our opening contest here for the Vanguard Championship. It's on the line. And out comes our challenger, Damian Priest, the Archer of Infamy. He's wearing black and purple. You know, his song plays, All Rise. You know, he's walking down. And then out comes our champ, Seth freaking Rollins. Burn it down. The flames are shooting left and right. And Seth, he likes to be very flamboyant with his attire. So tonight he's coming out with some neon yellow gear. Very eye-popping. Once both men there in the ring, the referee, he grabs the championship, the silver Vanguard title. He holds it in the air for the crowd to see, and the bell sounds. Ding, ding, ding. So the match starts, high speed, technical exchange here. Rollins, he's using his agility to keep Priest off balance, but the power of the Archer, it eventually takes over. And eventually, towards maybe the middle of the match here, Priest, he's starting to slow down the pace, really punishing the ribs of Seth Rollins with a bear hug, just wearing him down, trying to slow down the pace of this match to get his bearings. And Seth, he starts to be able to fight out of this series of like kicks to the face. And eventually, things kind of spill off to the outside, and Seth hits a suicide dive, knocking Priest over the announce table. But once both these men, they get back in the ring, eventually they start trading signatures. Rollins, he goes for a springboard knee. Priest, he catches him up in the air. He's trying to go for that south of heaven choke slam. Seth counters with a sunset flip. Hooks a leg. 1, 2, kick out. Eventually, Rollins, he's finding the opening he needs here, and he connects with a very crisp-looking pedigree in the center of the ring. He backs in the corner, his eyes wide. He's looking for that stomp to put down Damian Priest. As he's running and springing into the air, Priest rolls. And this kind of is stumping Seth a little bit here. Seth, he lands, he turns, big clothesline to Seth Rollins. Priest, he's not letting him breathe. He knows what's on the line here. He wants his first championship on the Reckoning brand, and he wants to showcase his dominance. He beat Darby Allin in a ladder match to get this opportunity, and he wants to seize it. So he grabs Rollins, he hoists him up, and he nails a big south of heaven choke slam. Covers Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Winner and our new Vanguard champion, Damian Priest. He holds that championship up high above his head. He climbs the turnbuckle. The crowd's chanting, they're cheering for him, and he's got a smile on his face as sweat is trickling down his brow. He won this battle, and he deserves this. Up next, our triple threat tornado tag team match for the number 1 contender spot for the tag team titles. So, out comes first. Screen itself staticky. NWO, New World Order. Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, they come out first. And then, their opponents. You think you know me. Adam Copeland comes out. The smoke is shooting up. He's getting the crowd all riled up. And his tag team partner, Macho Man, Randy Savage, yeah. Macho Man, he comes out. He's got his cowboy hat, those big thick glasses, the tassels on his leather jacket. He's spinning around. He's got his finger in the air. And their opponents, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, he's doing his juke. The pyro shooting off, the fireworks pew, 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 popping off the entrance ramp. And with it being tornado tag team rules, all 6 men are in the ring. The bell sounds. But the ring feels a bit too small for this much chaos, this much carnage that is about to ensue. Early on, the big men, the NWO, Reed, Strowman, they're using their power, their destruction, power slamming Jeff Hardy into the turnbuckle. Reed, he's like just smashing down on Macho Man. Eventually, Adam Copeland, he hits a big spear on Braun Strowman, spearing him through the ropes down onto the floor. Macho Man, he takes advantage of this. He delivers a big diving elbow drop on Bronson Reed. And he goes for a pinfall. 1, 2. Matt Hardy comes in, hits Macho with a chair, breaking up this pinfall attempt. And then, towards the end of this chaotic match, chaos is ensuing. They're trading finishers, twists of fates, choke slams. Just running power slams. It's insanity. The Hardys, they finally find their opening here. Jeff, he hits a poetry in motion on Bronson Reed, followed by a twist of fate from Matt. And then Jeff, he's making that slow climb to the top turnbuckle. He puts his fingers up. He's screaming. His face paint is worn off from the craziness of this match. He hits the Swanton Bomb on a Bronson Reed. 1, 2, 3. The Hardys stand victorious here, barely surviving the carnage. Macho Man and Adam Copeland look a little bit defeated here, as since the beginning of this series, they have had issues with the NWO. And while they may not have won, they have put a blockade on NWO getting closer to capturing most of the gold. Next up is a grudge match. And out comes the Viper, the apex predator, Randy Orton. I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. And Randy, he's just walking very slowly down the ramp. Very cold, calculated, just kind of looking around, taking everything in. And he's, I'd say, about halfway down the ramp. And the crowd, all of a sudden, they explode. They jump up off their feet. What's going on? The Scottish warrior Drew McIntyre goes flying out. He ambushes Randy from behind, knocking him down. They're brawling back and forth, fighting each other on the entrance ramp, smashing each other into the steel barricades, until eventually they both end up in the ring, and the bell sounds. The referee, he gets that bell sounding as quick as he can, because he knows all hell could break loose at any moment. This is a match of pure brutality. Drew McIntyre, very violent here, with his punches, with his kicks, with his body slams, belly-to-belly suplexes to Randy Orton. He's showing this no mercy. Putting Randy in chokeholds and almost acting kind of heelish here, choking Randy with the ropes, almost getting the 5 count on himself from the ref. But Randy, he's eventually is able to try to slow things down, and he's stomping and targeting Drew's limbs. Really just slowing down the pace, being very methodical, showing his apex predator type of mentality. And while he's doing this, he's even getting Drew into some submission types of maneuvers, targeting the arms and the legs, just really working down the body of the Scottish warrior here. And then eventually Drew is able to get some momentum. And while this is going on, he retaliates with belly-to-belly suplexes. But Orton is able to land himself pretty well. He coils for the RKO, but Drew shoves him off into the ropes. And as Orton rebounds, a big claymore kick to the head of Orton. But he doesn't go for a cover. He's looking around and he's standing above Orton here, and he's screaming to the crowd that I'm not finished yet. Drew goes to the corner. He's just egging Orton on to get up. He hits another big claymore kick, very thunderous here. He even counted down 3, 2, 1. A big claymore kick to the head of Orton. And Orton's down. He gets the pinfall. 1, 2, 3 on to Randy. even though Randy tried to slow down this match, Drew had his number. But Drew doesn't celebrate, even though he won. No. Oh, no, no, no. He goes to the outside. He's clearing off that announce table. And then he goes back in to get Orton. And he puts Orton on that announce table. He gets up. The crowd, they're on their feet. He grabs Orton and gets him in a future shock DDT hold. Hits a big, like picking up Orton. Really leaning into it, slamming him down. Big future shock DDT. The table collapses. And we see Drew McIntyre standing tall over Randy Orton tonight. Next up, a legend versus an icon. Rob Van Dam. RVD, he comes out, one of a kind. It's playing. He makes his way out to the ring. He's looking confident here, rather cocky. And then the lights in the arena go black. The crowd goes silent. The gong hits. Gong. Gong. And the druids come out with their hoods, and they're holding flaming torches. They each have a line on the sides of the entrance ramp. And out comes the Undertaker, clad in long leather-looking robe. No wide brim hat, Undertaker, remember here. This is like Ministry of Darkness, Undertaker. And he makes that slow walk to the ring. The smoke is rolling down, the fog rolling down the entrance ramp as the Undertaker makes his way to the ring. He rolls his eyes, and the lights go up. He enters the ring, and the bell sounds. The atmosphere, it's really heavy here, though. RVD, he's not waiting. He opens up with a flurry of kicks, rolling wall kicks. He's trying to take Taker off balance, off guard. Taker, he staggers back into the corner. RVD follows up with a big shoulder thrusts and a backflip into a monkey flip out of the corner. The crowd is stunned as Taker actually goes flying. And RVD, he's, playing to the crowd, standing up in the corner. RVD, and the crowd's, RVD. He's showing no fear. And he spends like the next 5 minutes really making it look like this might be an upset victory for RVD. And he's using the ring environment to his advantage. Eventually, he gets Taker, draped over the middle rope. RVD, he hits the apron and nails a big guillotine leg drop to the back of Taker's neck. And this is a no DQ match, but RVD, he slides a steel chair into the ring. He sets it up using it as a launching pad. He goes running for a big somersault over the top rope, crashing into on Undertaker on the floor. The crowd, they're like, whoa, they're going wild. They can't believe it. All this buildup for Undertaker, and well, he's taken a lot of punishment so far. Eventually, the men move back into the ring, and RVD, he places that chair on the top of Taker's chest, and he hits a big rolling thunder. Goes for the pinfall. 1, 2. Taker's shoulder. He powers up with terrifying force. And the dead man awakens here. RVD, he thinks he has him. Eventually he heads to the top turnbuckle as he gets more momentum on his side, and he's signaling RVD for that 5-star frog splash. The arena, they're hushed here. RVD, he looks like he's gonna leap up and go soaring across the ring onto Undertaker, but Undertaker jolts up here. And this kind of really throws RVD off. Even though he has his instinct, he stumbles and through the air, and he lands awkwardly missing Undertaker. And as RVD turns around, he's met with the sight of the dead man, standing tall, his eyes rolled back in his skull. And this is where things take a very different turn. RVD, he tries, getting a big kick on Taker. Taker catches his foot. And the look on his face is just pure anger, pure malice. Then maybe he's just been letting RVD get this momentum, only to crush him. Taker, he spins RVD around, like taking his head off with a big boot. Spit goes flying out of RVD's mouth. Taker, he grabs RVD by the throat. RVD, he's fighting. He's trying to get out. Get out. Taker doesn't flinch. He doesn't even look phased. He lifts RVD high up in the air in a big, massive choke slam, slinging him hard onto the mat. The ropes are bouncing up and down from the impact. But Taker, no. He's going to make an example of RVD here. He wants to end the whole effing show. And then he signals for the end. The thumb against the throat. He hoists up a big, limp RVD onto his shoulders. It's a tombstone pile driver. RVD goes limp. He crosses RVD's arms over him. Rest in peace. 1, 2, 3. Taker doesn't celebrate. He stands over the broken body of RVD. The purple lights bathing the ring, and he does his signature, like pose. RVD looked like he was going to be a world beater here. But for 10 minutes, he had the upper hand. But in the end, he was just another soul for the Phenom to collect. Up next, our tag team title match. Out comes 2 members of the House of Darkness, the Kings of the Black Throne, Aleister Black and Brody King. They're wearing their, torn up black hooded shawls. They got their crazy skull masks with the big antlers. The lights are dark. The smoke, the fog rolls in as they make their way to the ring. And next up, Rey Mysterio, Uyaka, 619. He launches up out of the entrance ramp, the fireworks popping off, and then enters Penta, Zero, Yellow. He does his little strut down, and the match is underway. There's a lot of good back and forth here, a lot of fast-paced, high-flying action, with neither team really seeming to get too much of an upper hand. But then there is a turning point. Rey Mysterio, he's on fire. He hits that drop toe hold onto Aleister Black. Boom. He's kind of clotheslined. He's on the ropes. He hits a big 619 on Aleister. And then he's getting the crowd on their feet. He hits the West Coast pop. But Aleister rolls out of the way. Rey, he lands, but he lands really awkwardly here. And his knee just buckling under the weight. He collapses, clutching the leg. He's screaming in agony. And the referee, calls over a ringside doctor. Something's not right with Rey Mysterio. And he cannot continue on in this match. And Penta, he's just collapsed on the outside from all the beating from the Kings of the Black Throne. And, he's just beat. He cannot stand up. The referee stops the match. He calls it. The champions weren't pinned. They retain their championships, but the Kings of the Black Throne, they win by forfeit here. And excuse me, that doesn't sit well with the Kings. And they're enraged that they didn't win the gold. So Black and King, they snap. Brody King, he crushes Rey Mysterio with a big running cannonball in the corner, followed up with a devastating Gonzo bomb. And then he's holding up Rey Mysterio, the injured, beaten down Rey. Alistair measures him up, hits him with a big black mass kick. Upon impact, Rey's head snaps back, blood goes flying into the air. Ringside staff, producers, they're running out. EMTs are running out. Penta, he's crawling back into the ring. He's beaten down. He's trying to protect his fallen luchador brother. And the Kings of the Black Throne just make their way up the entrance ramp, signifying that even though they didn't win the titles, they're going to leave an everlasting impact on the tag team division and maybe even the roster as a whole. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Our World Championship match of this evening. Kevin Owens comes out. He's raw. Fight, Owens, fight, fight, Owens, fight. The crowd, they're on their feet, they're chanting for KO. They want to see Kevin Owens win the title here. And then, our world champion. The New World Order. Hollywood Hogan. He comes out on his motorcycle. He's revving it. He's revving it. He's wearing that championship belt. He parks at the top of the entrance ramp and he walks down. And once both men are in the ring, the referee hoists that championship up, showcasing it for the crowd to see. The bell sounds and the action is underway. Owens, he's fueled. He's fueled from not only being beaten down himself, but seeing just the entire roster lose morale and inspiration as NW has been really running over everybody, no matter who they are. So, being fueled after the parking lot ambush that he caused on Hogan earlier on in the week, he's just beating down Hogan's ass for the first 10 minutes. Hogan, he's trying to roll out and, trying to get the referee to give him some breathing room until eventually he does roll out of the ring. He's like fling up the ramp here. But Owens is not going to let this happen. He catches him and delivers a big suplex onto Hogan on the steel rampway. Back in the ring, Owens, he hits a big super kick and goes for a swanton bomb. He's climbing up. But Hogan moves, knocking out Owens' legs from underneath him. Owens, he flips over, landing into the corner. Hogan hits a big running knee to the head of Owens, and then he's hulking up. He's hulking up to a chorus of boos. Boo, boo. The crowd. Hogan, he just panders too long, though. Owens is able to recover, and he charges for like a clothesline on Hogan. Hogan ducks, nearly hitting the referee. And all this distraction, the referee, he's kind of cowering, trying to protect himself. He doesn't see that Hogan delivers a low blow to Owens, and he follows with a big boot to the head of Owens. He runs, bounces off the ropes, atomic leg drop. The ref counts a pinfall. 1, 2. Owens kicks out. Hogan, he's losing it. He's pointing his finger into the chest of the referee, berating the official. And as he's yelling at the ref, Owens is eventually able to stagger up. Hogan turns around, kick to the gut, big stunner, but the impact leads Hogan. He stumbles back through and he rolls out of the ring, down onto the floor. Owens, he's beaten down. He just took a finisher from Hogan. So he's crawling towards the apron. And this allows Hogan to try to choke out Owens, and the ref's like, no. The ref's trying to, even start counting, trying to do a 5 count, but eventually, Hogan does let go. And both these men, they're very, very much showing that they're getting physically spent from the toll of this match. Hogan's on the outside, and he walks around and he grabs the world title belt like a shield. Inside, the ring, Kevin Owens, he's hauling himself up by the ropes. His chest is beaten from the strikes and, just punishment that he's taken from Hogan. His shirt's been kind of ripped, as he likes to wear those cutoff shirts. Once again, Hogan tries to pull his walking out stunt. Owens, he slides to the ring. He grabs Hogan by the bandana, and he just slams his head into the steel ring post. The sound echoing throughout the arena. The crowd's cheering. Fight, Owens, fight! Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens. He rolls Hogan back in, and he's looking for the end here. He screams, "This isn't the 80s anymore, Hulk!" Owens, he goes for a big pop-up powerbomb, but as he heaves Hogan up into the air, Hogan rakes at the eyes of the prize fighter. Owens, he stumbled back. He's blinded, Hogan, sensing the end, he bounces off the ropes for a big boot, but Owens ducks. He kicks Hogan in the gut. Stunner! The crowd, they're erupting. They're going even more crazier than normal. Kevin Owens, but he's crawling over to Hulk Hogan. He drapes a big heavy arm over the chest of Hogan. 1, 2. Unfortunately, Hogan's foot drapes the bottom rope. The referee breaks the count. Owens is in disbelief. He starts arguing with the referee a little bit here. And the referee breaks, even though he broke the count, he's trying to calm Owens down, like, hey, I'm doing my job, man. I'm doing my job. But after all this, Owens, he turns back around. Hogan, he's not standing too much. He's kind of wobbling, but he's pulled off his weight belt. And the referee, tries to stop him, because he doesn't want to DQ in this world title match. The fans don't deserve that. With his distraction, and he goes to throw the weight belt out of the ring, the referee does. Hogan pulls out some brass knuckles and pops Kevin Owens a good one right across the jaw. And with this, Owens crumples down into the canvas. Hogan doesn't cover him yet. He looks at the crowd, hearing the deafening boos. And slowly, he crawls over to Kevin Owens. He is spent. He doesn't pin him. He's kind of choking him as he's pinning him, though. And the referee counts 1, 2, 3. Hollywood Hogan retains his championship tonight. And in the aftermath here, Hogan doesn't celebrate with a pose. He grabs the world title. He spits on Kevin Owens, and he rolls out of the ring. He's limping heavily here. His face is just a mask of exhaustion. And this image of Hogan standing on the entrance ramp, holding his championship up high, closes out the pay-per-view. And Hogan is just smirking. Kevin Owens, he kind of woke up easily, on the canvas. No matter what Hogan has to do, it looks like that he will do anything, no matter how pathetic or painful it is, to keep that world title. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really hope you've enjoyed this free pay-per-view, Rite of Passage. And Tuesday, we'll have another episode of Reckoning every Tuesday as we go into the next pay-per-view and the next crazy events happening and rivalries and storylines. So whenever you guys listen to this, it's a good morning or a good night. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.